What's up, guys? It is Clean Chef, Chef Author Healer, and listen, I have a treat for y'all today as a part of this fall series. I am so excited about this one. When I thought of this, you know, it was late night. I'm not big on sweets, y'all know that. So, you know, cheesecake isn't that sweet, Biscoff isn't that sweet, but man, I was like, for fall, I gotta do it big. So we're gonna mix this sweet potato pie with this Biscoff cheesecake, and we're finna create a masterpiece. So get y'all tools, get your ingredients, they're in the description. And let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do, you guys, I'm going to melt my butter and I'm going to mix that with my crushed cookies to make the pie crust. So I have them already in this bag. So I have my Biscoff cookies. This is about 10 cookies because I'm just doing this one pan. It's just a regular little 8-inch pan. And I put the cookies in this bag and I just crush them up really good. So I have my cookies already ready to go. Just crush them up really good because this is going to be our actual pie crust. So I left a few big chunks, but mostly crushed really small. I'm gonna melt my half a stick of butter. The oven is already preheated to 350. So I'm gonna take this half a stick, melt it, and then that is what I'm gonna mush down to make our pie crust, y'all. So while that goes in, I'm just gonna let that melt quickly. So just a few minutes, maybe 3 minutes to get that melted. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and start on our actual cheesecake portion. So we are starting with our 2 blocks of softened cream cheese. And softened just means you had it sitting out for a little while before you got started. Because you don't want it to be really hard. You don't want any lumps and clumps. You want the cheesecake to be so smooth. So in order for it to do that, these need to be softened. So about an hour maybe before you get started, an hour or 2, take these out and let them sit out. Okay, so we're gonna start mixing that while that is going on a low speed. So next we're gonna do 2/3 cup of sugar, half a cup of our Biscoff butter. You wanna get all of that in there, make sure it's not sticking to the side, so push it down. We have a 1/4 cup of sour cream, 1/4 cup of heavy cream, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 3 eggs, now you're gonna let that drain while we go ahead and get our pie crust together. Let everything drain off, but that's the consistency you want. Not too loose, not too thick. Now we have our half a stick of melted butter in the pan. You wanna get that around all the sides. And then you're gonna take your cookie crumbles and you're just gonna fill the bottom of this pan. So you wanna make sure all those crumbs have some of that butter on it. So you wanna mix those. Mix and mash. But you wanna make sure every crumb has butter on it so it'll hold.
You also want to make sure that you keep butter on the sides of the pan so that your cheesecake did not stick to it and hold like mine did.
So that's what you got there. Just mash it down, no loose pieces. And you can just do the bottom. If you want to get your sides and bring your crust up, you can do more. You can add you some more crumbs and some more butter and come up the sides, but I'm only doing the bottom here. And the oven is still heated, so we're gonna set this in the oven for 10 minutes. Now, while we wait for that, we're gonna take our hand mixer and start to prepare our sweet potato. So what we have is an already baked sweet potato. I just put it in the oven, baked it. Now I'm just peel that and we're gonna mash it up. So if you don't want to bake a sweet potato and wait for it to get soft, you can peel it and boil it to go faster, or you can even use canned sweet potato. So that's totally up to you. If you use a regular sweet potato like I did, you will need to have it already baked, prepared to soften. All right, and just so that we get our amounts right, I'm gonna take it out and show you guys the size sweet potato I had. It was a medium to large sweet potato, not a good medium size, which should give me 1 cup of mashed sweet potato. So that's pretty much exact, y'all. So that potato size I had, it was 1 medium potato, and that gave me about exactly 1 cup of mashed sweet potato. A half a cup of brown sugar. A 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Half a teaspoon of vanilla. Half a spoon of lemon extract. 1 teaspoon of nutmeg.
Here we are going to add 2 eggs, but I'm cracking them in a separate bowl because you're going to need to separate the egg whites from the egg yolk for this part of the recipe.
Now I'm going to scoop out the egg yolk. Should be smelling that Biscoff crust by now, but it has 2 minutes left, so we're going to let that finish. We're going to take this part of the mixer off, and you're going to want to clean these off before we whip our eggs. So just rinse those off, and then we want to take our egg whites and we want to whip them as fast as possible until they become foam-like. Now, you see me checking the bottom. I'm just checking to make sure there's no liquid left. I want all foam to go in this mixture so that it's not so runny. So I'm going to take all of this foam. We're going to pause to get that pie crust. All right, we're gonna leave the oven on because it's almost ready to go in, but I just want you guys to see. It basically just kind of pulled it together. It's gonna cook more once we put everything in. So now that we've taken our crust out, we're gonna increase our baking temperature to 400 degrees. So we're gonna continue with our last of the sweet potato pie. Now we have both parts of our cheesecake. You don't want to pour all of it just yet, but you do want to go ahead and line the bottom. Make sure you don't hit that crust so it can stay intact. And you just want to kind of swirl it around, no particular pattern.
And so here I am just making sure to layer everything in nicely and basically make sure that I'm going to get a good chunk of cheesecake when I bite into it, and I'll get a good chunk of pie so I can get good amounts and I can taste them individually although they're baked together.
And you just want to kind of layer your swirls. Now you will use all of the sweet potato, you might not use all of the cheesecake. What you're going to do is you're going to take a butter knife and you're going to swirl, but don't go too deep because you don't want to scrape your crust. So when you feel that crust, you know you need to come up. But you just want to kind of mesh all of it together. And then you're just going to do a little bit more cheesecake across the top. And so there we go. You see the consistency, the texture. Now because I'm clumsy, I'm going to put this on something a little bit more sturdy. I'm going to put this on here. And we're putting this in the oven. Put it on the middle rack, not too close to the top.
Okay, QC fam. So I broke one of my #1 rules, started doing other things, and I over baked my cheesecake. So to make sure you guys don't do this, please set your timers 350 for 55 minutes. And it should be a little bit more solid around the edges with a slight jiggle in the middle. It should not be as dark as mine. Y'all don't do what I did. I forgot to set my timer and left the kitchen and started doing other things while it was baking. So please, don't do that. Take my advice. And the reason I did not do a water bath like you normally do with cheesecake is because I also had to consider that 50% of this cheesecake is also still sweet potato pie. So some things are different and some are the same as if you were making a regular cheesecake.
All right, guys, so we are going to make our Biscoff butter drizzle. So you're just going to take a good sized amount, maybe 2 tablespoons, depending on if you want to do your whole pie or just a little at a time. So I'm just going to drizzle a few slices. So that's about 2 tablespoons I have. I'm going to add my heavy cream and confectioner sugar. You're going to mix that up to make it smooth, and then you're going to do one more round of the heavy cream and confectioner sugar, 1 tablespoon of each again. Get it real smooth and creamy. And we're going to put that in a Ziploc bag so we can properly drizzle it. I'm going to put that Ziploc bag in a cup. And now we have a creamy Biscoff butter drizzle.
So I'm removing the sides off of this aluminum pan, but guys, the pan that is ideal for a cheesecake is the spring form pan. So get you a spring form pan, or you know, if you have one, use that instead. But I was just using an aluminum pan to save on these dishes. Okay.
I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut all the way through. And then cut a slice out. I cut it open so you can see. Sweet potato pie cheesecake. Biscoff sweet potato pie cheesecake. Ooh. And then our drizzle. I just cut a slight hole in there. And that's what we got, y'all.
And this is the final, y'all. It was delicious. As you can see the cheesecake and the pie portion separately. Like, subscribe, and make sure you come back and let me know how it went for you. Guys, remember what I said. Don't overcook yours. Like,